Hello and welcome to Whack-A-Mole Industries. In today's video, we'll be working on making a casting out of expanding foam. And in order to do this, we need a mold. Now in this case, I'm going to create my mold with my 3D printer. Now, you could create your own mold, but they're already available in places like Thingiverse, and that's where I found this mold. By the way, no sponsorship or anything like that, just to be clear. You can download it, 3D print it, and then use it. This project is actually going to be to make foam MK2 fragmentation grenades. This 3D printed one is obviously inert in every form imaginable. The reason why I'm making these and need these is I need them for a prop as I do World War II reenacting. So the reason why I want to cast these out of foam, if you go to about 3D print these, not only are they hard and a little heavier than foam, they take a long time to print. If you're familiar with 3D printing, they can take like 10 to 12 hours to print something like this. The other plus for this is it's foam. If it accidentally hits someone, it's not going to hurt them. If you can get around making your own mold, if you can go with someone else's design, that'll save you a ton of time. And that's what I did in this case for this MK2 fragmentation grenade. Check out this mold. You can see the foam residue actually in it from when I cast earlier in it. And here on the bottom is where you shoot the foam in, and it also expands out of the top. The other notable features that I'm going to point out are the little tabs that make sure the mold line up right. Besides this beautiful paint job, this was a successful second attempt. The first attempt broke, and that is where we go to talking about the release agent, because it broke because it wouldn't release from the mold because of what I was trying to use to release it. I tried to use soap because I figured, hey, just rub a bunch of soap on it, it's cheap, clean off the soap easily, water soluble, all of the above, it should be good. That did not work. It didn't release well enough. So, the second thing, I didn't really want to use this because I was afraid to make painting impossible. And that was using petroleum jelly or Vaseline or whatever it's called. Okay, so one of the things I'm actually going to do, which is a little different for this, is I'm actually going to cut a chunk of wood to act like a little weight that's going to go in the center of this foam casting to add a little bit of weight so I can still throw it, but not too much weight so it actually creates more of an impact when it hits. Just in case if it hits someone, not that I'm planning on throwing it so it hits someone, but this just is an extra safety precaution. And that way also so it's fully coated in foam. Now it's time to apply the petroleum jelly. I'm actually using my finger for most of it. For the big spaces, the tiny areas, probably you're going to need to use the Q-tip. For this mold, I know I need the Q-tip for that corner. Just making sure to work it into all the spaces. Also, you need to put it in your flat space so that the foam doesn't adhere to that. I kind of learned that the hard way. If you're using expanding foam, I would make sure it's an area you don't care about too much, because if you make a mess like I did already, just let it dry, it'll pop off easier. If you need to wipe it off, have some paper towel ready, or to wipe off your hands. The foam I'm actually using is this great stuff. It's actually from Home Depot, the 16-ounce cans for gaps and cracks. This is not probably what it's actually meant for. I have actually left over from a project, and right around here it says shake well, so I'm going to shake it. In this case, I needed a little wooden weight. It'll fit right there, hopefully. As you can see, it's already expanding up out of the hole. I'm probably just going to come down tomorrow morning and hope that I did everything right and should be able to pop it open and go from there. Here would have been a good place to put some Vaseline, but fortunately it does come off some. Now I'm going to try to crack this open. I'm going to move the camera closer. Now my goal is just to gently rock it back and forth. And we had a failure right there. For some reason the foam just keeps failing on the end. After the last trouble I had with this area not filling up, I cleaned out all the Vaseline and tried to use WD-40 as a release agent. As you can see, that did not work. Okay, I have a surprising update on this. I was just about ready to give up on this foam casting, and because it kept on messing up. Right at the top, right here, it wasn't setting up. It was just becoming this ooey gooey mess that wasn't even expanding. It expanded and then shrank down. So I was doing a bunch of Googling and YouTube searching, and the last thing that I thought would help is what helps. I would have thought that moisture would actually cause it not to set up and not to work well, but it's actually the reverse. Apparently, it needs moisture. So what I did was I sprinkled some water in the mold, and then that wood core I'm putting inside of these to add a little bit of extra weight, I soaked that in water too. And then I also added some wood shavings at the top that were soaked in water. So spraying the foam, put the wet wood in, and then put the two halves together. And I know that works because I made these. So, two right in a row, which is like, I've wasted so much foam trying this. But this actually works. So let's get into this. This was surprising to me. I'll show you how it works. So here's the wood core and the wood shaving that I'm going to be using to help keep everything moist. As before, I got to make sure that everything is coated in Vaseline for it to release properly. Even though the way I'm talking about this, it sounds like a cooking show, someone sharing a recipe, I would highly discourage you eating any of these ingredients. Oh, you didn't see that. I think this can's just about done. This is the most unenthusiastic, most boring expanding foam because it just poured out of the can. It didn't even blow out of the can or anything like that. But anyways, it looks like it's gonna work. So I'm gonna add the wet piece of wood that's gonna act like the weight. I'm just gonna add some wet pieces of wood. Now I just wanna try to get it in the center just so it's not popping out of my mold, so it looks good still. Because I was experimenting with this earlier. That's part of why I run out of foam. Okay, I've been busy in my workshop, but I've let this set for a little bit. Probably like an hour, 2 hours, should probably set longer. But let's crack this baby open. Oh, you couldn't see it, I just popped the top off of it. Now this side is harder to get out of. Oh, that popped out decently easy. There we go. So it needs a little bit of cleanup. So the best thing I found was to take a knife and gently saw through it. I know I'm cutting towards myself for this demo. Being very careful. Now, you see this? I'm gonna cut that off now. Now I'm cutting to the vent on the top. Now that's off, now I just need to cut it off, this off the back. Here we go, you can see the big difference it was adding the water. It actually worked. Versus the past few ones, like I said earlier, were not setting up correct. I hope you've had a blast with this make, build, whatever you want to call it. So all what's left for you to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you can keep up to date with more videos as they come out. Also, hit the thumbs up button and comment down below. Just say something that maybe you found interesting or some idea you've had or just to say hi. All of those are great options. Would love to hear from you guys. Well, thank you for tuning in and watching this with me and going through this project with me, and I'll see you on future videos. Bye.